Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
Good evening. This is your tired midnight blogger. What blogs at midnight? In this case, closer to 10:36 p.m. It may be midnight by the time I get it all edited and put together. This one is going to be entitled Succession, Oklahoma Style, because evidently Succession is a hot show about the succession of a media tycoon thing. And I haven't seen it, but I have a photo here. That's what I start the post off with. And I pretend to be confused, saying that here we have an Oklahoma statesman talking to Kevin Stitt, because I think this guy kind of looks like Kevin Stitt. And then I joke about my overpaid assistant Cassie, saying that it actually is a still from Succession. Well, heck, how am I supposed to know? They look like corrupt politicians to me. Cassie says, helping me with this blog is rough. I did touch a nerve with the first blog post of this series, of which this one is the second, and I hope to be the last, but I may do a third one to clear up some confusion that seems, from my comments, to be in extent. On one hand, I'm glad people actually felt something reading my stuff, but on the other hand, the people I upset were, frankly, people I don't want to upset, and who honestly seem to agree with me on about 90% of every issue. Before I dive into the blog proper, I hope to handle the concerns of these folks. Losing readers is one thing. Losing friends is another. Where do I start? Okay, the first thing I want to say is that I absolutely respect the people who have taken umbrage with my words. An Oklahoma City insider had given me a tip and I decided to look into it. Honestly, some of the responses I had gotten on social media honestly baffled me. Since these are friends, I don't wish to share them on here, and I'm hoping I can handle this without making anybody who I care about, and I don't want any of them to feel called out. But I also have to mingle some courage with the consideration. One of the reasons I took so long, it was several years, to get back into blogging, is because I am frankly very tired. Why do you think I call it tired blogging? In my heart, I don't wish to confront anymore. Nor do I want to have to apologize anymore for thinking or feeling the way I do. Now, in no way do I mean to invalidate how you think or feel. But at the end of the day, I am the one writing this blog. Respectfully, I share what I know, I share what I learn, and I share how I feel about it. Your comments are absolutely welcome. It is easily possible you are right and I am wrong. If I don't want feedback, I should just close up shop, eat Cheetos, pet my dog, and watch sci-fi movies until I either have a heart attack or one of Eric Prince's friends comes and avenges Prince for daring to defame him on my blog. I post here an image and some rhetoric by Chief Joseph. I've always felt it was some of the most profound things ever said, and I can't do it justice, but I'm going to read it anyway. It's my blog, and I'll read if I want to. I will fight no more forever. I am tired of fighting. Our chiefs are killed. Looking Glass is dead. Old men are all dead. It is the young men who say no and yes. He who led the young men is dead. It is cold, and we have no blankets. The little children are freezing to death. My people, some of them, have run away to the hills and have no blankets, no food. Hear me, my chiefs. I am tired. My heart is sad and sick. From where the sun now stands, I will fight no more forever. But no matter what we think on political issues, we are family. And I know that anyone who has been abused very often has at least had moments when this was exactly how they felt. If the world would let me, I would be happy to settle somewhere and say, I will fight no more forever. But no, that is not how the world works. All right. Let's dig into the topic. And the topic actually is not gun control or the OK2A organization. I gave that impression in my first blog post in this series, and that's my bad. I was hoping the added context would draw in liberal readers and help them feel like their viewpoint was respected, but instead, the conservatives wondered if I had jumped ship. So then, what is the issue? Oh, Don Spencer, you are a friend of mine. In my previous post, I introduced you to Don Spencer. I shared his accomplishments with OK2A and discussed the concerns some media outlets have with him. I intend to finish the story in this post, but before we get too deep into Mr. Spencer's shenanigans, I would like to introduce you to A.J. Ferret, the current chairman of the Oklahoma GOP. So here we go. We replaced Bennett with A.J. Ferret. I'll allow him to introduce himself in his own words. Well, my voice, his words. So, according to ocpaarchives.blogspot.com, A.J. Ferret, and I don't know if that's how it's pronounced actually, but he is one of the rare lawyers who did not lose his ability to think rationally about the U.S. Constitution while in law school. He still appreciates the original intent of the U.S. legal system. He advocates for its capacity in its original form to govern a people while providing Christian liberty. That is, after all, why it was put into place to begin with. He is president of the local Federalist Society chapter. The Federalist Society was founded to counter the current domination of law school ideology. The Federalist Society states that today's law schools promote a, quote, liberal ideology which advocates a centralized and uniform society, unquote. Thus far, this is actually exciting reading for your tired blogger. I know it isn't as exciting as the Playboy centerfold, but the thought of a true conservative at the party chair who isn't trying to recruit for a civil war actually sounds exciting to me. Providing Christian liberty sounds amazing. Believing the Federalist Papers has something to contribute to modern political philosophy is exciting. How could that possibly upset any Oklahomans? And here I do the clever thing. Yeah, it's Frank Burns, otherwise known as Ferret Face. What? My overpaid assistant Cassie says that this is actually an image from MASH. My bad. She says it is rough keeping up with all my mistakes. Okay, so here are the reasons people are upset with him. Comments welcome on whether or not they are right or wrong to be upset with him. The Enid Daily News and Eagle, that great bastion of journalism that hit its heyday when Michael Savage cited them in his book Trickle Up Poverty, has this to say. Ferret took to Twitter stating the Trump campaign had every opportunity to bring forward evidence in court and failed to do so. It takes a clear and convincing standard to prove fraud in court. They didn't put forward a scintilla of provable evidence. We as a party need to quit jumping the shark on the 2020 election and focus on convincing voters to show up for each future one. Ferret's comments are a breath of fresh air. It seems the new GOP chair is trying to instill a little bit of tough love on his party candidates. His position is a reversal from the previous chair, John Bennett, who embraced election fraud theories and promoted other candidates who did the same. All of that was from the Enid Daily News. Well, in Oklahoma, them's fighting words. Believing that Trump didn't have the election stolen from him, or, as is closer to my current stance, believing he might have had some points, but one, there wasn't enough fraud to reverse the election, and two, the methods he has used to contest the election have in many cases been ill-advised. Anyway, all of these beliefs are simply held to be raw insanity. Madness on a level of taking the bet that your tired blogger will have a date this weekend, which, side note, I did have a date last night. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. The information shared by The Intercept is more landmark decision last summer. The U.S. Supreme Court confirmed that the eastern half of the state of Oklahoma is reservation land, legally Indian country. Although Oklahoma officials spent a century ignoring treaties signed by leaders of the Muskogee Creek Nation, the justices asserted that the treaties remain the law of the land, meaning most likely that the reservations of 4 other tribal nations that share a distinct legal and political history in Oklahoma also stand. McGirt versus Oklahoma, a major victory for indigenous nations, is now having legal consequences well beyond the state. The Supreme Court ruling, however, was only the beginning of a new battle to redefine Oklahoma's identity. I don't intend to get bogged down in the details, but the long and the short is that Stitt and various other Republicans are hopping mad over this Supreme Court decision. Most of the articles deals with the debate in Oklahoma. My tired blogger Cliff's Notes version is Republicans and big oil hate it, Democrats and Native Americans love it. So, where does Ferret, whatever his name is, where does he stand on the issue? After Congress declined to take up legislation addressing McGirt, Oklahoma's oil and gas industry took its fight to the courts. One of the central figures who has emerged is A.J. Ferret, one of the co-authors of the Oklahoma Independent Petroleum Association's amicus brief, the general counsel of the state's Republican Party, and the former public policy coordinator for Devon Energy, not to be confused with Devon Miles from Knight Rider. Ferret, though, is in court arguing for tribal control of oil and gas permitting, albeit doing so in the interest of an oil company. In the case at hand, brought as a petition before the Oklahoma Supreme Court, Ferret argues that the state body that grants oil drilling permits, the Oklahoma Corporation Commission, no longer has the authority to do so on tribal land. That means that the company Calix's permits to drill on Muskogee Creek land should be void, opening the door for Ferret's client, another oil and gas company called Canaan, cursed be Canaan, to maintain a more dominant drilling posture in the region. Ferret declined to comment for this story. That's their reporting, not mine. No, I rarely ask people for interviews, and to date, I have only had one person agree to one. Ferret hinted at the industry's strategy at an August 11 webinar hosted by a conservative group, saying he believed the fight against McGirt could take 40 years or more to play out, and that a piecemeal approach of gaining legal clarity, one issue at a time, would be necessary. Your tired blogger analysis, Ferret wants to have his cake and eat it too, like, everyone else. On one hand, he can look like he is helping the Native Americans, but on the other hand, his client is big oil. Pretty slick, if you ask me. But the Republicans in Oklahoma City don't like it. You see, we want big oil to win, but not the Native Americans. Native Americans winning is un-American. Oklahoma state politics is a litany of broken promises. So, members of the Oklahoma GOP don't like him, according to my Oklahoma City insider. And you may ask, Curtis, what does that matter? Why am I reading this stuff? Why don't I just go get my Playboy? Well, you certainly don't have time for frivolous things. So allow me to explain. In order to explain, I have to introduce yet another person in the dramatis personae. Introducing Sean Roberts. He did want to squeeze his cheeks. I've been told to be less frivolous. You don't know it, but keeping a straight face looking at this photo is not easy. You try it, for crying out loud. Roberts is important. Yeah, that's this guy with the cheeks that need pinched or slapped or something. Sean Roberts, having failed to get a cabinet position, he now thinks he would be a great replacement for Ferret as the new Oklahoma GOP chairman. When he was running for labor commissioner, there were protests calling for him to drop out of the race after some documents were leaked from his divorce some decades earlier. Channel 4 in OKC reports Carol Bush, House Chair of the Women's Caucus, and Representative Tammy Townley held a press conference Monday in downtown Oklahoma City calling on Sean Roberts to end his campaign for labor commissioner. This comes after documents from a decades-old divorce had surfaced detailing an exclusive Sean Roberts towards his ex-wife Jennifer. According to the judge-signed record, I called the police because he punched me in the mouth over a song I downloaded. I know it's Oklahoma, and all of us men out here are abusive, but come on, man, we can do better than that. That article ends on a wishy-washy note. Roberts' campaign released a statement which read, in part, the political hit masquerading after Roberts for allegations relating to his marriage 22 years ago. In July, I, meaning the reporter of the piece, not me, myself, reached out to Jennifer Roberts about her statements made in court. She did not confirm nor deny what was detailed in the records. She did add that too much time had passed for her to comment on the subject, and that her and Roberts were now on good terms. Roberts' campaign released another statement, this time with Jennifer Roberts, pivot from the decades-old statements of abuse. I have nothing bad to say about him. Sean is a good man and helped co-parent our two boys who are now 22 and 25 years old. Thus, the only commentary I have to say to this is that Jennifer Roberts either lied back then or she is lying now. The point is this. I personally, there's many other reasons as well, but I stay out of running for office because I know that my divorce would be grist for all kinds of issues that my political opponents would be happy to use. So either he is an abuser, and hence I have no desire for him to have any political influence over Oklahoma, or he is a victim of politics as usual. You be the judge. And here I have a picture of myself, and I'm basically whining. The Oklahoma Watch has this to say about Roberts. Earlier this year, Oklahoma Watch asked all 15 state senators and 23 House members, all Republicans, who supported that move if they still support their request and whether they will now say that Biden rightfully won the election. Of those who responded, all repeated unfounded claims that widespread election fraud cost Trump the election. Many are seeking higher office. This includes Representative Sean Roberts, Republican from Hominy, who's running for labor commissioner. There he is again. Roberts sought a forensic and independent audit of 2020 general election results in 3 counties, including Oklahoma County, making unfounded claims that fraud occurred in other states. That request was denied. I don't want to get into the whole debate about the legitimacy of the Biden election. I've already written about that. Oklahoma is the reddest state of the red. Why in Sam Hill would anyone want to investigate our elections? Bro, your man Trump won by a landslide in Oklahoma. The only people who would benefit from an audit of votes in Oklahoma are Democrats. Your crusade is nothing more than grandstanding and pointless stirring up the anger of the masses who already vote mostly the way you want. Why don't you shut the hell up and campaign on your merits? Is it because you can't win on your merits? I'm just curious. Musical chairs. The Oklahoman shares the story about the election coming in May. It's not very far from now. I'm glad I finally got this post in. Sean Roberts, a former state representative who unsuccessfully ran for labor commissioner earlier this year, has announced his campaign for chairman of the state Republican Party, challenging A.J. Ferret, who he said he has stabilized an organization that faced financial turmoil just 6 months ago. He announced his candidacy for party chair as part of a Liberty Team ticket. After serving in the state house for 12 years, Roberts lost a Republican primary race this year for labor commissioner, in which he attempted to use the nickname The Patriot. Mel Gibson would be so proud. On the ballot, an effort that was rejected by the state election board. Roberts has wrongly claimed Donald Trump won the 2020 presidential election, and his Liberty Team ticket includes other election deniers. That statement, by the way, is a quote from the Oklahoman. That is not necessarily, it kind of is, but it's not necessarily my view. Exactly. The Oklahoman continues, Ferret won a special election in May for the state party chair. Succeeded John Bennett, hallelujah, it's raining men, who, like Roberts, denied the results of the 2020 election. But Ferret rejected election conspiracy theories and said he wanted the party to look forward and rebuild itself as a fundraising force. This month, the state party announced it has raised $577,000. Yes, that's right. That would be $500,000 over the last several months and had significantly improved the organization's internal finances. I think that's a testament to the donor community trusting what we are doing, Ferret told the Oklahoman. We're just getting started with bringing in a professional approach to how we address communications, how we address staff support, and I'd like the chance to continue that work. So, we have someone who is attempting to be sane and professional, and someone else who, honestly, what the heck is going on with all this? According to my source in Oklahoma City, Sean Roberts is basically a creature of Don Spencer. My informer tells me that adding the party chair into the list of politicians that are in Spencer's pocket will make him, quote, way too powerful. No, I didn't. Allegedly, of course. I've already written about the concerns voiced by other journalists and politicians. Again, and remember, it is this man himself, not the organization or Second Amendment rights, that I'm discussing. I support the Second Amendment. I may not see it exactly the way everybody in my audience sees it, but I do support it. And while I'm not a member of the organization, because frankly I'm broke, I support many of the things, probably most of the things that I've read that they've talked about. The issue isn't the Second Amendment. Is this person working for our best interests or just to aggrandize himself? Now, my insider, and the punchline is that my insider tells me that they have reason to believe, and they didn't feel comfortable giving too many details. They don't want people knowing who they are. So they were somewhat vague, and for that I apologize. But I promise you I have a source, and they, quote unquote, this is what their words were, I should have put it in quotes here, they have reason to believe that Don Spencer took a bribe, took a literal bribe of money to endorse. He took a bribe to endorse her rather than the popular and very conservative and it's basically like Frank Urbanek is Bennett only sane. So what do you think? Please send me comments. Please read the previous post as well if you feel like this was not enough, and it may not be. It may not be. But again, and that's the post. Absolutely hope that you do leave comments. Respectful and constructive criticism will be returned with respect and with an honest, and so I appreciate you. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something from it. I know it was far from perfect, but it's meant to be useful to you. I'm going to sign off, and I hope y'all have a wonderful day.